intensely searching for an original sin.
Welcome back to Dollhouse of Offerings. For some reason, Kaoru was finding it difficult to look Kyoko in the eye, so he turned his gaze towards the house Ichikura. They just had to continue down the road they were on, make a turn, and then...
クロさん、こっち向いてください。
ああ。京子、このまま歩くと昼を過ぎるぞ。
はあ、もともとその予定ですから、ゆっくりで大丈夫ですよ。クロさんとあれこれしたいですし。
ならいいんだが、あまり先方を待たせるようだと、走った方が早いからな。それはそれで、早く着きすぎるか。うん。ちょうどいい頃合いはわからないな。結局、京子頼りになるが。
クロさん。
どうした？真剣な顔で。
走っていくとき、私をどうするつもりですか？
もちろん持っていく。
持って？
Wow.
言い方が悪かった。抱きかかえるか背負ってだな。まあ、あまり早く行くと失礼だろう。京子がゆっくりでもいいように予定を組んでくれたんだ。それに甘えさせてもらうよ。
はい、その通りです。クロさんが甘えてくれるなんて嬉しい。嬉しい。
Wow. Kyoko was walking funny and Kaoru slowed down to match her pace. He knew what she wanted, but he was hesitant to pick her up in public. And so they moved closer together, farther apart and then closer together again. The more the two of them eventually reached the house Ichikura's estate. This girl needs an ice bath. It was a little past noon. Among the plum blossoms of the Ichikura estate, a man stood waiting at the entrance hall. It was Ichikura Tori, head of the household, refusing to sit down. His great height suggested that he was once a beast of a man, but he had since become withered and ghost-like, like a willow tree. He took a deep breath and adjusted his posture to put as little strain on his back as he could. His health had clearly seen better days. His face twisted with pain each time he coughed. He looked like he could keel over at any moment, but he was digging his heels into the ground to hold himself up.
やっぱり寝ていましょうよ。京子ちゃんもあなたの病状は知っているんだし、失礼とも思わないでしょ。
His wife, Madoka, was standing beside him, reaching to catch him if need be, as she made her exasperated remark. Tori only smiled at her, although the look on his face betrayed his unhappiness at anyone else having noticed the trouble he was having.
そう言うな。四季家の長女とその跡取りが挨拶に来るんだ。寝たままというわけにはいかないだろう。
He winced with each breath as he spoke, occasionally clutching at his chest. His wife saw right through his attempt to brush it off, and she refused to drop it so easily.
余計な意地を張ると寿命が縮みますよ。
I like the wife.
確かにな。
Tori patiently awaited his guest, even as he coughed his lungs out. It felt like it took them an eternity, but he just gritted his teeth and tried to bear it. The pain was too normal for him to think much of it. I don't think I can keep this up. He couldn't help but let out a jaded laugh as he considered the state of his health. And the house Ichikura isn't doing much better than I am. His thoughts turned to his wife. his only remaining family. She was all he had left, but he didn't resent that fact. It seemed only natural for things to turn out this way.
来たか。
You got a cute wife.
はい、お待ちくださいね。
She seems to love you. Madoka nodded to Tori and turned and moved towards the gate. Tori gate. He watched frustrated that he couldn't go with her. I'm an adult.
いらっしゃい、京子ちゃん。そちらがお婿さん？
八坂九郎と申します。
Madoka had opened the gate to find Kyoko, whom she had known since she was just a baby, and a young man she hadn't met before. I don't think I've ever seen her acting like such a schoolgirl. Even from afar, Tori could tell that something was different about Kyoko. If her engagement to the Yasaka boy had been the cause of that, he could only assume that this was going well. Aside from that...
失礼。市倉通り様でよろしかったでしょうか。
うん、そうだ。ありがとう、四季の婿殿。
あ、え？今、あら？
Apparently, Kyoko's groom-to-be was capable of covering a distance of several meters with a blink of the eye and catching Tori as he fell.
通り様、出迎えなんてお体に触ります。
Kyoko rushed over to them and Madoka followed.
ああ、いいのよ、京子ちゃん。私も何度も言ったんだけど、こう。
Madoka sounded exasperated, but at the same time, the look on her face spoke to profound relief that her husband was alright. Tori gave her an apologetic look, then turned to gaze hard to Kyaru.
四季の婿殿、様付けはいらんよ。君が四季家の跡継ぎになるのだから、立場は対等だ。
まだ正式に決まったわけではありませんので。
As he spoke, Kyaru ran his large hands over Toru's thin frame. That must have been enough to give him a decent idea of how the man's health, as his reaction was to turn his eyes down wordlessly.
律儀な子だな。私がいいと言っているのだから崩したまえよ、九郎君。
Do we have some magical evil skills that could help him?
承知いたしました。市倉殿。
Sorry if you guys heard my bottle. Just a bottle of water. I don't drink soda.
通り様、早く横になられないとお体が。
ほら、言わんことじゃない。ごめんなさいね、九郎さん。その人のことお願いできます？
は。
すまんな。面倒をかける。
Kyaru shook his head politely as he helped Tori along, following after Madoka. With Kyaru supporting him, walking was easier for Tori than it had been since he was young. He turned his head to look back at Kyoko, with his eyes open wide, and she smiled knowingly. I think I'm starting to understand why Iaodono married him off. Kyaru wasn't exactly what most people would consider beautiful, but there could be no doubt in the mind of anyone who saw him that he was strong. It's hard to find the right words to describe him. Perhaps there is none. There was a soft warmth to the young man, a comforting firmness to the arm that he supported with Taru with. I can speak English, I swear. It was enough to make him want to let himself be carried, but Kyaru was only offering the assistance that was necessary. His gaze was sharp and alert, yet his eyes spoke to a pleasant simpleness. His youthful energy was untarnished.
こちらへ。
Tori was relieved to finally be laying down on his futon, although he missed Kyaru's touch as he left his side. The boy was sitting up as straight as a ruler, silent. Tori couldn't help but smile.
九郎君、大変だな。
は、お心遣いいただき、ありがとうございます。
Damn it. That's not what I was talking about. He thinks I'm apologizing for. Oh, wait. Maybe he actually doesn't understand? That seemed like a good thing to Tori. Next, he looked to Kyoko.
良い婿殿を捕まえたな、京子ちゃん。
トーリ様もそう思われますか？
うん。しかし、のろけ話はまどかとしてくれ。女の話はキリがなくて疲れてしまう。
押し付けるなんてひどいこと。
お前に譲ってやるんだ。ありがたく受け取っておけ。
はいはい。ありがとうございます。
Madoka smiled. She knew her husband meant it all in good humor.
気をつけろよ、九郎君。
は
会って早々にこんなことを言うのもなんだが、君はいささか強すぎる。
当然です。クロウさんはイオ殿が太鼓判を押した最高傑作ですから。
Kyoko was trying to brag. Kaoru could only bite his tongue and blink awkwardly.
やさかなのだから腕が立つのは当然だ。そうではなく、相手に与えるところが強すぎる。
なるほど。
京子ちゃんは分かっているが、持ち上げてばかりではな。
それは。
Kyaru furrowed his brow inquisitively. Toru thought he could see him connecting the dots in his head. For better or worse, the Osaka boy was easy to get a read on. He was guileless? Guileless? Never heard that one. That wasn't a good thing.
あなた。
Tori had gotten lost in thought, but he snapped back to the conversation when Madoka reached over and gave him a smack on the forehead.
京子ちゃんとお婿さんが来てくれたからってはしゃぎすぎです。
She's right. With my health the way it is, even this is a big strain.
えい。
Stop smacking the poor guy. She smacked him again. Tori knew very well why.
九郎君、妻のまどかだ。先ほど紹介し忘れたので拗ねてしまった。
あなたが粗骨者なだけでしょ。
そうだな。
そうですよ。クロウさん、こんな風になっちゃいけませんよ。
It is the perfect married couple right here.
私がさせませんから、ご心配なく。
Bully the old man.
だ、そうです。
そうね。
The friendly atmosphere in the house helped Tori forget the pain in his chest for a while. Maybe this is what it would be like if she had gotten the chance to grow up. Tori clenched his teeth and tried to stop the memories from surfacing. What the fuck happened? Still haven't moved on. Oh, did he lose? I think he lost a kid. When he regained his composure, Tori turned to look at Kyaru and Kyoko.
一倉家当主、一倉通りだ。病床の身上、どうかこのまま話すことをお許し願いたい。
構いません。私の方こそ若輩者ゆえの無作法、お許し願います。
そうです。クロウさんはそんなことを気にするほど小さな人ではありません。
You know, I do like how Kyaru, like his voice actor is kind of very demanding and cold. And I like that. Like, it works for his character. Again, they're doing a good job with the voice acting.
確かにこの人よりは器が大きそうね。
Ouch.
お前くらいは入れてやっているだろう。
そうですか。
Madoka turned her head as though offended, but she looked like she was having fun. Tori seemed to find it amusing. Next, he spoke to Kyaru again.
すでに気づいているだろうが、一倉家には私と妻しかいない。一日のほとんどをこうして過ごすようになってから、使用人にも暇を出した。後継ぎもいない。一倉家は私の代で終わりだ。
後腐れなく終わりたいですから。まあ、私とこの人で十分でしょう。
余計な口を挟むな。
はい。
Damn it. We haven't been this affectionate with each other in a long time. Tori never did understand women, but he found the friction amusing. He took a moment to steady his breathing.
市倉家は七名家の取りまとめを担ってきた。しかしどうにも血が細く、代々跡継ぎには難儀していた。私も三男だが、他は皆亡くなっている。
Is it the same sickness that was going around the island before?
幾人か産んでも体が弱かったり、病や事故に見舞われたり、まあそういう家系だ。
Tori closed his eyes for a moment and tried not to picture his little girl.
取りまとめを必要としたのは、まだ力を合わせなければ七原村が立ち行かなかったからだ。おのおのの家が力をつけるにつれて、市倉家は必要とされなくなっていった。これも時代の流れと思えば諦めもつく。
There was more to it, though. Tori wasn't just resigned to the fact that House Ichikura would soon come to an end, he was deeply relieved by it. Then it'll finally be over. He was overcome by a profound sense of gratitude as he watched the daughter of House Shiki gaze adoringly at her fiancé.
とはいえ、市倉家が名家であり、通り様が一角の人物であることには違いありません。
ああ、それはわかるよ。
さすがクロウさんです。通り様は特に人物評に優れ、まともな頭をしている七名家の者は、人を雇う際に面通しをお願いするのです。
まともならか。
それを抜きにしても、私は通り様に小さい頃からお世話になりました。まどかさんも同様です。第二の父母と言っても過言ではなく、だからこそ真っ先にクロウさんを紹介したのです。
Aww.
京子ちゃん。
Madoka sounded touched, and even Tori nodded knowingly. After all, she was the closest thing they had to a daughter. They felt a duty to her, although there was also a hint of atonement for their devotion.
さて、市倉家の紹介も済みましたし、通り様、先ほど語りかけたクロウさんへの票をどうぞ。
これは責任重大ですね。
二人していじめるな。
Tori went quiet and took a long, hard look at Kyaru. Going over the features he had noticed once again, the young man's gaze was sharp, his eyes were clear and honest looking. He reminds me of those paintings of samurai from the Genpei War you see in the scrolls. He looks like a regular Taira no Mosokato, the famous revolutionary. I am butchering words, sorry. Tori couldn't help but wonder how the Yasaka had produced a man like him. He took his time, considered the question before finally giving an answer.
とにかく、クロウ君から受ける印象が強すぎる。良ければいいのだが、世の中そう受け止めるものばかりとは限らないだろう。
As far as Tori knew, the warmth he felt could have come from the raging fire within the young man. The arms that supported him so firmly could just as easily have torn him in half. The assistance he offered so freely could have been taken as condescension or a challenge. His fierce gaze could have could be perceived as hostile. His unwavering eyes could be seen as unfeeling.
悪い方向に捉えられたら、恐ろしくしつこいことになるぞ。
Kyaru nodded, appearing to understand what Tori was concerned about.
私のことを気に入らない方は、その度合いが激しいということですね。
君を相手に中庸を保つのは骨が折れるだろうな。
Tori enjoyed imagining the Futara struggling to look unimpressed. He enjoyed it greatly. He regretted that he couldn't get to see it himself, but with a little luck, perhaps he could get his wife to fill him in on the details.
失礼な輩もいるものです。心がよほどねじ曲がっていなければ、クロウさんを嫌ったりはしないでしょう。
あのね、京子ちゃん。性根が曲がっていない人なんていないわよ。
クロウさんはまっすぐですよ。
あら、一本取られちゃった。
恐縮です。
Seeing Kaoru shrink shyly, Tori couldn't help but chuckle, even as he coughed. The day was drawing to an end and the sky was a deep red.
最初にチクラ家に行って正解でした。トーリ様もずいぶん調子が良さそうで、きっと安心したのでしょうね。
そうかな。
そうです。だってこんなに素晴らしい人を旦那様ですって紹介したんですから、本当に祝っていただけてよかったです。
Can they get married so this poor girl can get some at this point?
俺が市倉殿のお眼鏡にかなわなかったらどうするつもりだったんだ？
その時は懇切丁寧に分かっていただけるまでご説明差し上げました。なんでしたら見せつけてしまってもよかったですし。
病人相手だぞ。
はい。
Kyoko blushed and looked down, as though she had just realized what she was saying. The two of them had spent a few hours visiting with Tori and Madoka before leaving to return to House Shiki. I guess I'm on the way home now. That thought made him start to consider exactly what home meant. Home, a mother, a father, multiple generations living together, operating as a family unit. Assuming that definition, a Yasaka had no home. Those born into the house Yasaka grew up separately, each learning to hunt in the way best suited for their strengths. It was more like a wasp nest. It's hard to tell exactly what home means. The Shiki wanted him to get Kyaru pregnant with lots of babies. Apparently, they consider blood relations to be the most important factor in what's constituted a home. House Ichikura was the opposite. They had given up on continuing their bloodline. But then, what did home mean to their head, Tori-sama?
京子、市倉殿は本当に家を潰すのか？
だいぶ前からそう伺っています。養子を取る予定もなく、市倉家の血が細いのも確かです。
そうか。
何か気になりましたか？
いや。
Kyaru shook his head and set his thoughts aside. Whatever he was having trouble expressing, he decided to chalk it up to lack of experience for now. He didn't need all the answers to his questions right away.
では、帰りましょう。今日の晩ご飯もたっぷり美味しく作りますね。
Kyoko was bubbly with excitement. Kyaru nodded. Ichikura Dono, though. Just as Tori had been sizing up Kyaru, Kyaru had been observing Tori. I don't think those were the eyes of a man who had given up. That's good. Meanwhile, the Ichikura estate was quiet once more after the unusually lively day. Tori Ichikura was lying down and his wife Madoka was by his side.
京子ちゃんには幸せになってもらいたいな。
He spoke softly, choking the words out before a series of dry coughs, but there was a passion to his words.
本当に。
He looked into her eyes knowingly and nodded. I'll never be able to rest in peace if she doesn't. Tori didn't dote on Kyoko like he did because he had known her since she was a baby. That was part of it, of course, but there was something more. We owe it to House Shiki. I know we can never truly make up for what happened, but it's the least we can do. He thought of the shrine in that manner. He thought of the plaque on it, dedicated to a little girl. He thought of his precious little girl, and he thought of the horrible thing that killed her. Sen would be alive if it hadn't been for that. But House Ichikura was always had to deal with such incidents. The other one didn't have to die, though. It was our job to make sure nothing like that ever happened. Whatever became of that thing, it was House Ichikura's responsibility. Tori held that to be a fundamental truth. It was a point of view that had been deeply ingrained in his family for generations. So to him, it was natural to feel accountable for what happened because of it.
あなた、
The idea that the incident wasn't his or House Ichikura's fault never even occurred to him. We killed her.
すまん。すまん。
He knew his words wouldn't reach anyone they were intended for from his sick bed, but Tori apologized into the void of nothingness. Soon it won't be long now. He had one last hope. His mind was settled after seeing Kyaru and Kyoko. If anything proved they had his blessing, it was that. That awful thing will die with House Ichikura. There's nothing left that matters more to me. Caught between wheezing and laughing, Tori Ichikura couldn't help but smile, even as his chest was killing him. Kyaru took a sip of his tea. It was later the same night. Well, you know what? This is where we're going to leave it. We'll find out more next time. So we are starting to find out things are happening. What exactly are those things? We'll find out next time. Don't forget to check out my shop and other links in the description. And I'll see you guys next time. Bye!